Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the Pipeline Safety Trust. It's not exactly a brilliant strategy to pinch hit for a home run hitter. If you guys know Tim Felt, he would do a fantastic job. He regrets not being here. But I look forward to going through this and telling you where we're headed. The getting to zero, how we put that in context, it's stealing a phrase from a football coach that if you chase perfection, you can catch excellence. And that helps us understand that while you might have a goal of perfection, and you're going to have some problems along the way, we know that we have not yet caught excellence. We also know that, and we've known, that we don't have to wait to be told. We have been improving ourselves. I'll show you some slides that show that. In the 90s, without being told, we started counting our spills less than 5 gallons, well before the regulation told us. And if we count our spills, we're looking at ourselves, we can analyze our weaknesses, and we've been working on them. And the form that we take that in is called the Pipeline Performance Tracking System. You'll hear it referred to as PPTS at times. This is PPTS data. And on your left, number of spills per mile. Look at the timeline. It's basically the first decade of this century. And on the right is barrels released per 1,000 miles. Incidents are on the left. Great curve through the early 2000s. Great curve. Not a good curve towards the end. And this is our PPTS data, and we were watching this, and we started seeing a slowdown in improvement. And we do that, and we were starting dialogue on, okay, how do we get a better curve? With the recent events, it's stepped up. It's stepped up to how do we change the direction of the curve. The liquids pipeline leadership got together, and we've been talking all year. What are the right things to be working on? I'm going to go through some of those. We had about 24. We've narrowed them down to 7. And it doesn't mean that we aren't working on the others, but it means we're putting a more intense focus on the 7. And I want to review those 7 with you. We hear from PHMSA, and we understand ourselves that we need to do better with research and development. One of our key initiatives is working with the Pipeline Research Council International. And I don't know how well everyone is versed in PRCI, but as a liquids industry, we are partnering with the gas industry and figuring out what are the research and development initiatives, and we're funding them. What do they need to be working on? We also have individual companies working on R&D, but we recognize that we need to step up some funding. We need to step up some coordination with R&D. We need to be focusing on things that can make a difference. Research and development, you typically don't get an immediate benefit from. It is a longer range improvement. Some of the things that some of the specifics, we're working on improved aerial inspection. There's technology, there's drone technology, and how can we more frequently and more effectively inspect our right-of-ways from the air? ILI technology, it has improved in the past. How do we keep that improving? Also, long seam failures we're looking at. How do you identify them? And how do you repair long seam defects? Leak detection and data integration. I'll touch on that a bit more. A lot of discussion about leak detection. If you heard yesterday, Larry David spoke about it, and one of his main messages was that first we need to focus on the large releases, on recognizing them, on responding to them, and reporting them. Let's get good at that. We also need to enhance the systems, the SCADA systems that help basically with the help on the recognize part of it. There's analysts, controllers get a lot of data, and you want to make sure that they can recognize the releases and respond to them. It's not to say we're not keeping our eye off the ball of improving how we detect small releases. Enhanced data integration. This initiative is a little bit hard to get your arms around. When you run smart pigs, you are collecting enormous amounts of data. You repeat that. You collect more data. You've got damage prevention data. You got corrosion data, and you're trying to make the best decisions possible. And as operators talk amongst themselves, we find that we've got improvement to make in this arena. How do you deal with all this data and make the best decisions possible? Identifying the highest risk and addressing them. This is one of my pets. Sharing practices and learnings across the industry. We have a number of efforts underway, and we can do better with those. We have an annual API pipeline conference. We have an annual pipeline information exchange where operators get together for a day and talk through the problems that they've had. We have advisories that come out from the pipeline performance tracking system. Can we do those things better? The answer is yes. Another thing we're doing is we're partnering with the gas industry. We've got an initiative out to go look at other industries, the nuclear industry, the airline industry. How do those industries learn from each other? How do they do it? And we're out getting all that information. We're going to have some meetings in December and January, and it's partnering with the gas industry, and I'm really looking forward to figuring out how we can better share. One of our own ideas is having a real-time platform where companies, instead of waiting on an annual pipeline information exchange, how can operators have a problem today, communicate that problem today, and find out how other operators are solving it? We think that if you look at the curve and the steep downward direction that I showed earlier in the year, operators were learning internally more in the first part of the decade. Now we have to have more, we have to learn across operators if you want to drive that curve further down. Another thing that we're recognizing is we all have people attending committee meetings and sharing information. They have to take that back to their own organization and action it. It is easy to sit in a workshop. It's relatively easy to share information. How do you turn that into action? What are the best practices on turning that into action in your own company? More peer-to-peer learnings. We are starting a more rigorous way of pairing companies up that want to share information. You spend a day on 5 or 6 subjects and get into more detail and get subject matter experts talking. And lastly, this isn't necessarily too obvious in this forum, but we worry about employee and contractor safety. Some of our accidents, we've had fatalities, and it's our own folks. And what we want to do is mirror the PPTS system, share information on accidents so that we can improve the safety within our companies. Damage prevention, this is a continue. We've had a damage prevention in place for quite a while. You're well aware that excavation damage is the leading cause of death in industry. We've developed Model 1 call laws, and we're getting those pushed out. We're trying to advocate for stronger state enforcement, engaging with excavator groups specifically, getting better materials out, better education materials out, and coordinating with the Common Ground Alliance. Strategic planning. In essence, when the leadership was getting together in the first half of this year and talking about what do we need to be doing, we were doing strategic planning. We need to make that sustainable. It does not just need to be episodic and driven by catastrophic events. We want to plan today what we're working on tomorrow. That takes effort. That takes thought. It takes engaging with stakeholders and getting their opinions on what you should be doing. And we've got a number of efforts underway already. Are we prioritizing them? Are we coordinating them? We definitely have room for improvement. External communications. First, getting our own message out. We want to improve. But external communications are two-way. We've got to take opportunities to listen. And Andy mentioned listening. We've got to be good listeners. We've got to talk to all of our stakeholders and get their perspectives. And we've got to talk about solutions with them. We aren't the only folks that are going to have solutions. And I think this lines up well with the NTSB presentation. Engage your stakeholders in your problems and your solutions. And I think we can improve our responsiveness to these stakeholders. We need to have some sustained discussions and not intermittent discussions. So, wrapping up, we know we don't need to wait to be told. We know we can lead ourselves, and we're trying hard to do better with it. Our goal, get those curves headed in a better direction. Drive to zero. Our plan, we need to be focused. We've listed 7 areas of focus. We need to keep chasing that next year and make sure that we update that list and we're focused on the right things. And we need to listen and adjust. When the plan isn't right, we need to be listening and identifying how it needs to change. That's all I've got.